Why, hello, everybody. Okay. How is everybody today? Ugh. Let's bring that over here. I got a letter from the government. No big deal. And they're like, oh, they just have a couple of questions for me, I think. So they said, call us at this number. I called the number 3 days ago and got a message. Hi, we'll call you back in order. They don't even let you, wait in queue. It's like, if you ever get that message, it goes, if you want to call back, do this. If you want to wait in the queue, do that. First sound in Peggy So is a bit wild grunt. Oh, did I make a wild grunt? I'm sorry. Anyway, if I get my call back, it's only been 3 days, so God knows it's probably not going to happen this month. But anyway, if my phone rings and it's that callback, will have to pause and talk to some people for a minute because I don't want to pay taxes. I sell on Etsy. Etsy already collects the taxes for me. I just have to tell them. But anyway, but we're going to talk about Skinwalker Ranch today, and we might be taking a quick little watch Peggy argue with the government break. But so how's everybody else? How you guys doing? How's life? How's everything? I've been doing a bit of lookup. Number one rule for me is I'm not going to do too much looking up. I've only been looking it up for the last 15 minutes. Because if I do too much looking up, then I get on it. I just start droning on and on. So we will start with, we'll start with how's everybody doing today. And I'm looking, I just had a picture a few minutes ago. Okay. Let us start with what is a skinwalker. And a skinwalker is, in Navajo culture, a skinwalker is a type of harmful witch who has the ability to turn into, possess, or disguise themselves as an animal. The term is never used for healers. And I found out, if you've ever heard of Wendigo, that is one of the words for a skinwalker. In the Navajo language, and the word is, let me see if I can, Yinaldushi. There's no way I'm going to pronounce that properly. Here's the Navajo word for skinwalker. Let me just copy that and get it into the chat for you guys. That is what it says. There you go. I'm encouraging you to change your channel to Peggy So's What? Because it's either about a sewing project or sewing wild tales and intrigue. That's true. Sews and knows. Oh, there you go. Peggy Sews and Knows. Hi, Kaz. So, that is... Did I already... Yeah, there it is. So, if anybody knows Navajo and can actually pronounce that, there's no way I'll pronounce that properly. So, this is straight from Wikipedia. And the word it translates to, by means of it, it goes on all fours. So it's so basically so when we're thinking of skinwalkers, it's just one of several varieties according to the legends, right? They are a type of, oh my God, I can't pronounce that word either. They are a type of, good luck, guys. Good luck pronouncing this word. Here it is. Antigeny. That's the best I'm gonna get. Okay. So I'm just still sticking straight into we're all still settling in. So I'll stick with Wikipedia for a bit and get the boring part out of the way. Navajo witches, including skinwalkers. So they're evil. They're basically evil. You got your healers and your medicine men and women, and then you've got your witches, your Wendigo, skinwalkers. Those other words I can't pronounce, which is the exact same thing. They're seen as evil, performing harmful ceremonies and manipulative magic in a perversion of the good works medicine people traditionally perform. The legend of skinwalkers is not well understood because it's not well understood outside of Navajo culture, which makes absolute sense. Now, here's the kicker, though, is that almost every native culture in North America has their own version of the skinwalker. They have good and evil spirits, and none of these traditions are known outside of the cultures because the people just don't want to. It's like it's the same thing that we've experienced talking about paranormal, talking about tarot, talking about whatever. Is that like once you start talking about it outside of your own group, you're subject to ridicule, and of course, way back in the day, that was considered proof of how primitive and backwards and blah 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 blah. So it wouldn't have been necessarily something that they would be encouraged to talk about in the first place. But most native groups, most native tribes have some stories about evil spirits or evil witches, evil people. Yeah, we as native people are. Who said this? Adrienne Keene says, we as Native people are now opened up to a barrage of questions about these beliefs and traditions, but these are not things that need or should be discussed by outsiders at all. And I'm sorry that seems unfair, but that's how our cultures survive. So that makes sense. There's a lot of sense in that. So coyote is one of the animals that is associated with skinwalkers, and that evil witches can disguise themselves as a coyote. Now there's also, and of course I'm not going to find it, but there's also reference. I also found a reference when I was just looking, is that how they recognize skinwalkers as not being the animal, and they can also disguise themselves as humans, but because of their evil, whatever they're disguising themselves as, they're recognizable as a skinwalker for those who know what to look for. Here's one. Can I get this to come up? Come on. It's not going to be a very good picture, but let me see if I can get this up. That's one right there. This is supposed to be this is a photograph. Yeah, we're getting to Skinwalker Ranch. We're just kind of like, what's a skinwalker? Because that's kind of what this starts off being all about, and it gets weird from there. It gets weirder than this from there. So this is a skinwalker. This is from northern New Mexico. Yeah, the picture shows an unexplained being lurking on the side of the road. And this is what they would say is a skinwalker. Kind of, sort of, maybe human-ish, but definitely not. Not that obvious, not that whatever. So, sorry, I'm bouncing around. Skinwalker Ranch is a specific place, so we're definitely getting there. We're working our way towards Skinwalker Ranch. I just wanted to go over what a skinwalker is according to local folklore and traditions of the area, right? Yeah, that's a good way to put it. They're like Bigfoot and beasties who appear and terrorize and vanish without a trace, like boo, and where did they go? And this is the biggest thing. I was gonna bring this up. Photo manipulation makes it impossible to trust anything you see nowadays. And that is probably the biggest problem that we face. Because let's just go straight to this one here. I am still slow at sharing the screens. But we're only 10 minutes in. I'll be going back and forth with all sorts of stuff. So this is really interesting. Okay, so as you start going through this, you see am I sharing it properly? Of course I'm not. Let's see if I can do this and get it a little bit bigger for you. Nope, that's not the one. That's not the one. Come on, you can do it. Here, see, I'm still here. I just wanted things to show up better. I don't know why it's doing that. See, it's just not showing up right. There I am. So see, yeah, if CRA comes and grabs me, I'm just going to mute the mic. It should only be a 4 to 5 minute conversation. There's not a lot of information that I need to tell them. Yeah, CRA is saying, the CRA is like, oh, you're over your income. Uh-oh. How's that? You hear me now? It should be fine now. Okay. Anyway. Where did I get it? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Okay, so share this tab. So this is also considered a skinwalker. This is the problem, right? So we don't fully understand the stories and legends and things like that because the native cultures that like the Navajo, they don't want to share it and they don't have to, right? So we have that going on. So that is supposed to be a rendering of somebody's report. Yeah, Yenda Lushi. Let me see. There's, of course, there's no. Yeah. They ran away on their back legs. So this is somebody reporting that in the middle of the field, I see two dogs. They were standing up, facing each other and fighting. Right. So it had a dog's body, but with human hands and feet. I'm obviously there's no photos, so it was neither fully human nor fully animal. And this is how, this is what, yeah, New Mexico. I had my first and only encounter with the skinwalker. Before this, I used to say, I'll believe it when I see it. Well, I'm a believer now. It was not fully human nor fully animal because obviously spirits are different. Spirits are, I don't know how to explain this, but what I looked up on this is that evil spirits are the evil spirit is neither human nor animal either, so they don't necessarily know how to present themselves properly. That's how they get spotted. Okay. Yeah, what I saw was a wolf-like animal that sort of resembled the beast in Beauty and the Beast, just not cartoonish. It had brown fur that completely covered it, and it wasn't a pelt. It was a very large wolf. It didn't have any human traits except that it walked on its hind legs. It cowered behind a tree as we got to our vehicle. When we got in, I asked my son, did you see that? Thankfully, he hadn't. So anyway, I'm just hitting and running on this because we haven't even got to Skinwalker Ranch yet. So, yeah, this is a Newsweek. This is from the Newsweek article on Skinwalker Ranch. It's going to show a photo. Come on. Okay. Anyway, let's go. Let's get this. No, they're not going to show up. They're not going to show me a good photo. Okay. So. Where am I? So this is what they're talking about when they say skinwalkers, things that are neither human nor animal, and sometimes you're fooled. Mostly you know right up front that something is freaking weird, okay? And that's where that starts from. Let's get back to that. Let's get back. Every time I close that, I do it wrong. Then I have to reopen it. Yeah, I want to say, yeah, see, chupacabra and werewolf-ish and stuff like that. And apparently and I didn't kill myself looking up thousands and thousands of things, right? But apparently, yes to all is where this is coming from. No, I don't need that one. I need that's why I need that one. Share screen. So Skinwalker Ranch by itself. I can't show that. And this is straight from the History Channel. That's a picture of one. That's a picture of one of the buildings that was put up on Skinwalker Ranch, on the ranch itself. The History Channel has an easy to read breakdown. Okay, so that's what we're gonna go. We're gonna go over there now. We're gonna go look at the History Channel breakdown, and I'm going to do a lot of reading, so bear with me. Okay, so some have called it a supernatural place. This is what gets really weird, because Skinwalker Ranch is Skinwalker Ranch is currently known for skinwalker activity, but it's also a massively busy place for UFO activity. So it's cursed. Terry Sherman got so spooked by the happenings on his new cattle ranch that 18 months after moving his family of 4 to the property, now known as Skinwalker Ranch, he sold the 528-acre parcel away. There's the ranch. Yeah, I'm going to take myself out of this so that there, let's just do. Oh, that's why. No. Hating on me today. I'm agonizing over this because I know I can get a bigger picture for you guys. Okay, so this area is known as this area is considered by the natives in the area to be cursed, and that's been the case for like since the 1700s that they've documented it. Yeah, the ranch is a mixed bag of strangeness. Yeah. Yeah, so it's actually nothing concrete, but lots of reasons to stay away. Probably secret government experience. Okay, we're going to get to the experiments, okay? So, one thing that happened, okay, so this guy basically buys into a property that's considered as cursed. Under the name of the National Institute. Okay, so this guy, the last owner who tried to live on the farm and lived on the ranch and tried to work it as a ranch, and it was not known as Skinwalker Ranch at the time, right? He and his wife Gwen shared their chilling experiences with a local reporter in June 1966. They'd seen mysterious crop circles, UFOs, systemic and repeated mutilation of their cattle in an oddly surgical and bloodless manner. Now, this is the kind of stuff that people nowadays go, oh, gray alien encounters, coming down, experimenting, doing a thing. Within 3 months of the story's publication, so they put their farm up for sale. Had all this shit happen, talked about it. Within 3 months of the story's publication, Las Vegas real estate magnate and UFO enthusiast Robert Bigelow bought the property for $200,000, which I don't know if that's a lot or not a lot. It's a 512-acre parcel, but it's also in the middle of Utah. So I don't know what that was all about, right? So Bigelow, this UFO guy, sets up round-the-clock surveillance of the ranch. So this is, and hoping to get to the bottom of paranormal claims. So the native population of the area has already said, this is where skinwalkers are here. Don't go here. It's cursed by the skinwalkers. The Bigelows, not the Bigelows, I'm going to burp at you guys. The Sherman family are like, we don't know about that, but there's UFOs everywhere, mutilated cattle everywhere. And I don't know if you guys have ever read anything about this. Back in the day, cattle mutilation was just absolutely like, it was going crazy in the western states. So what? Utah, New Mexico, Arizona, just tons of these types of reports. Skinwalker Ranch was just one of those ground zero type locations for it, right? So the surveillance yielded a book called Hunt for the Skinwalker: Science Confronts the Unexplained at a Remote Ranch in Utah. So that is the name of that's basically the name of the first book. Let me just get the book there. But I'm just going to get the name of the book if it's still available. Yeah, guy buys a property and wants to attract interest they might make money from. Yeah, so that is Hunt for the Skinwalker Science. That is the title of the book that this Bigelow guy had done, in which several researchers claimed to have seen paranormal activity, but they were unable to capture any meaningful physical evidence supporting the Sherman's incredible stories. It was resold in 2016. This is where it gets interesting. This is where reality versus this is where not reality, suspension of reality meets reality TV. Had the Shermans been lying about what they saw or under the spell of a collective delusion? Without evidence, the stories they told are difficult to believe, but they are hardly unique. The Uinta Basin of eastern Utah has become such a hotbed of paranormal sightings over the years that some extraterrestrial enthusiasts have deemed it UFO Alley. You can't throw a rock in southern Utah without hitting somebody who's being abducted. So there's already folklore, lore. There's already reports that weird shit happens in southern Utah. And let's get a map. Let's grab a map right quick. Let's grab a map and see if we can. Okay, that one might show up okay. Okay. This is where things get really weird for me because this okay, so if you see where Utah is like southern Utah is in the middle of nowhere. Southern Utah is like Colorado's not known as being a high population. A couple of high population cities, sure. The Salt Lake City in Utah is to the north. We've got Las Vegas in Nevada. We've got Santa Fe in New Mexico, but we're talking like the United States is not a tiny country. This is a lot of space here. This is a lot of empty and open space where shit and shenanigans can happen every day, all day, and nobody's it's going to be difficult to get proof, and what proof you have thanks to Photoshop, nobody's going to believe. Mormons turning into skinwalkers. There you go. Hey, Trisha. Yeah, I saw an episode of the show Ghost Adventures where they were on Skinwalker Ranch. So Skinwalker Ranch isn't just this one ranch. It's an area in which this ranch sits in one of the highest activity areas of the area. Oops, I got to do it from there. So we get in here. Yeah, Goblin Valley. Like, look at that. Goblin Valley State Park. But we're not looking at, we've got state parks, right? We've got, Arches National Park, Goblin Valley, Capitol Reef National. This is all national park area. People aren't allowed to live there. People aren't allowed, you're not really staying there for long periods of time. So it's like, well, okay. I don't know how, but look, Cedar City, let's get in closer. Yeah, little itty bitty towns, but look at this whole area here. So you get here, you see Cedar City, then you start zooming in, and you don't really see much of anything. And what little bit you are seeing is a lot of it would be native land. Yeah, I think that's native land right there at the bottom. So anyway, shit can happen. Shit can happen there. Nobody's going to know it. Nobody's going to be able to prove it. And that's just the way it's going to be. Let's see what we got here. Okay, back to that. I wonder if I could. I'm still Oh, you lose. Okay, let's see what I can do here. Okay, I'll stay on screen then. Did we just lose all that? Did you just lose all of that, me reading along with this article? Can't go on. Yeah. Can't go on. Can't go out. Can't go out then. Can't go on without them to get you off the land. It's called BML land, and it's like the new Area 51 around here. The Wasatch Mountains and Skinwalker Ranch have Corner Canyon has weird stuff going on. Here's the thing: Skinwalker Ranch has weird stuff going on. Okay, that Skinwalker Ranch has really weird stuff going on, and it's been going on for like the last 200 or 300 years at a minimum. Didn't hear anything in the last 4 minutes. Okay, well, it looks like whenever I take myself off the screen, I take the sound with it. So I'm just going to stay myself in the little corner. I'm sorry I can't bring this up bigger. I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Can't go on the desert land. Okay, well, sorry for that. Sorry for that. But honestly, I was just reading what was already there. My phone, I still didn't get my phone call. That's okay. It's probably not there. I tell you right now, they're probably not calling me back for a couple of weeks. It's tax season. Anyway, so cursed water, cursed lights. So there's a small river that runs through the property. While skinwalkers don't feature in the Ute religion, there are still aspects of the ranch that make sense with the context of Ute lore. I don't know if it's Ute or Ute. I'm not sure which one it is. Other strange sightings have occurred directly next door at Bottle Hollow, a 420-acre man-made reservoir abutting the ranch, which was filled with fresh water in 1970 by federal government mandate. In 1998, a police officer saw a large light plunge into the reservoir and then reemerge, flying off into the night sky. One night in 2002, four young non-Indian men standing on the reservoir, non-native men standing on the reservoir shoreline, saw a blue-white ball enter the artificial lake. According to the Hunt for the Skinwalker, the glowing ball dove into the water just a few feet from the shore, then emerged seconds later in a new form, a shimmering, maneuverable, belt-shaped shaft of light. After performing a brief writhing aerial dance, the belt of light zipped away at a high rate of speed, hugging the ground before disappearing below the top of Skinwalker Ridge. Skinwalker Ridge? Where's Skinwalker Ridge? Let's see if we know where that is. Let's search Google. Nope, I don't know. Okay. Well, there it is right there. And there's Skinwalker Ranch. Let me just share this tab. Okay. Skinwalker. So there's Skinwalker, and there's Circle Navajo. So they are right on the edge. Let's see what they are. Let's see what they are. Keep zooming. Keep zooming. So they're right in the reservation. Why did it move? It moved. It moved. Let's back up. There we go. So they're right. So they are right in an area. Fort Duchesne, right near Roosevelt. Let's see what's going on. There's Provo, Utah, Salt Lake City. It's actually further to the north than I thought it was going to be. It's further to the north than I thought it was going to be. It really is. I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be further north, but that's okay. So there is where the Skinwalker Ranch is. Let's see what we can do on this. There's Skinwalker Ranch. There is an aerial view of Skinwalker Ranch as it looks today. But look, there's a helicopter. There's a Skinwalker. There's a There's a helipad. There's current activity here. Anyway, let's back up. So, yeah, there's a ridge going through the ranch land. And it is the ridge that goes through the ranch land. Like that's a farm field. Skinwalker Ranch trying. So this is all part of what would have been the ranch at some point. I'm assuming that the people, the researchers who bought the land may have bought up surrounding land in the meantime. So that is what it looks like. That is what's going on. I just closed it again. Other side of the mountain, yeah. See, yeah, you would have to. It would take me a while to like narrow all that stuff down. What is that? Why am I seeing that? You ever open one page in a different? You ever open one page and a different page opens up? Okay. So basically, the whole area is already problematic and full of shit. I gotta do the pres. Oh, that's weird. What's that one? Oh, I don't have that one. Okay. Sorry, I'm clipping shit again. I am doing that again. So the thing is that Skinwalker Ranch, Skinwalker Ranch is very, very simple and very, very complicated because they've got so much activity of every level. They've got ghost encounters, they've got skinwalker encounters, they've got UFO encounters, they've got cattle mutilation. There is a lot going on. And the interesting thing is, just by looking at the geography of where they're located, it would make sense. Is this thing screwing up now? I still got to sort out this camera because this camera hates me. Anyway, so the thing is, what we're looking at. So now what we're looking at, and it gets worse because there's literally a Netflix series on Skinwalker Ranch. There's literally a Netflix series. There's literally been several books put out. Unfortunately, people have found a way to profit from this. So it's like, so now now we have to play the what is real and what is not real game. The appearance of the supernatural. Ooh. UFO sightings taken seriously by the U.S. government. Well, there is something to look at. We'll do that next. We'll do that next. That's an interesting one. Okay, so the article. Yeah, the appearance of the supernatural around Bottle Hollow makes sense with the context of the belief. I can't pronounce it. According to Jones, among the Utes, springs and certain waterways were reservoirs of negative power. There were evil spirits or evil sprites that would rise up out of the water and drag you in. Now, this is really, really interesting. What I find really interesting about Skinwalker Ranch that I've been able to look up. What I've looked up so far on Skinwalker Ranch is that a lot of what happened at the ranch has been sensationalized to a point where it makes it really, really difficult to go, is this something that makes sense or is this something that doesn't make sense? But the interesting thing is that before any of this happened, the legends of the area made it clear that this has been going on for over 200 years. Let's go look up that Franciscan guy. See if we can get more information on what he had to say. Come on, I need to read faster. I need to read faster. Okay. Yeah, Bottle Hollow is also an area that's. Come on, where is it? I just had it. Yeah, 1776. So let me just Sylvestre. Let's see what we know about this guy. So this is a guy in 1776. Come on. Okay, let me see what we got going on here. Talk among yourselves while I look shit up. Let me see what we have here. No, they're more. They're more. Unfortunately, doesn't really give a lot of information that it's going to make sense to me or that I'm going to have time to look through. So 1776, you've got religious people. I think all this weirdness coexists on a different plane. That would make sense. Here's the thing: if you are advanced enough to this is where reality meets science fiction meets the paranormal meets all sorts of things. So Skinwalker Ranch has been highly sensationalized for a whole lot of reasons. That doesn't mean nothing's happening there. Okay, we got it. And this is like, okay, Area 52 was sensationalized for a whole lot of reasons. I think there's now an area, I mean, Area 51 was sensationalized for a whole lot of valid reasons. And then all the media, all the sensationalism took over. So what's the kernel of truth of Skinwalker Ranch? This is where I want to this is why I want to talk about. I'm not saying this is not a real place with real phenomenon. This is the thing. I'm saying the exact opposite. I'm saying this is a real place with real phenomenon that we are probably very, very long way away from understanding. We're not going to understand this anytime soon. And it's become so sensationalized and media driven that now it's like you just have to, you're peeling away all this bullshit that's built up since then. But one interesting thing is a lot of areas that are known for paranormal activity, ghosts and skinwalkers and things like that. Those types of areas are quite often also known for UFO activity. And maybe it's just that we call this paranormal because we don't understand it. We call this UFO type activity because we're starting to develop the science to understand that. Right? So the Skinwalker Ranch stories in and of themselves. Okay. See, unfortunately, the first thing, there's a Netflix series. What is Skinwalker? There's a March 17th article from 2023. Skinwalker Ranch in Utah is one of the most famous paranormal hotspots in the world. How did it get its reputation? Okay, let's just take a look at that. But animal abductions, like UFOs sucking cows up out of a field and stuff like that, that kind of stuff has been reported. Cattle mutilations. I do not know how to describe this. This was a big thing that was being reported on in the 70s and 80s, 1970s, 1980s, where you'd find there'd be these UFO sightings, and then the next in rural areas, like way out in the middle of nowhere, and then the next day farmers would come in and find all their cattle like dead, like not all their cattle, like they'd find dead, mutilated cattle, where it was almost as if their blood was drained, almost as if their blood was drained, and then surgically removal. Like we're talking like straight cuts, as if, and not just saw cuts, but we're talking like a laser, like no saw marks, just straight cuts, pieces of meat missing, limbs missing. It sounds gross and disgusting, but it also what they've been able to. The people that took it seriously reported that the animals were killed first, so it's basically butchering. But all this weird shit kept happening to farm animals, and of course, people disappear on the regular. So who knows? Like, let's just not think about that, right? Rumors of UFO and it's interesting though, because the modern accounts are more about crop circles, UFOs, cattle mutilations, things that are very, very stereotypically associated with ET. And if you get really deep diving into the ET type circles, it's the gray aliens, right? That's what they keep talking about. Despite the stories, no hard evidence has ever been released to show what's really going on there. In fact, the world may never know. And obviously, the reason why this stuff is such a fascinating topic is because I never understood why mutilation remains. I'll just stop and start. I don't care. I've already warned you guys. I've never understood why mutilation remnants are left behind. If abductors need the cow, why leave bits behind? It's just psychic terrorism. We'd be none the wiser if they took the whole cow. Here's the interesting thing. We do this all the time. Trophy hunter goes in, gets his hunt. You can certain areas of the world you can go in as a trophy. You can go in and hunt for a trophy, right? So you go, you fly in, you want a bear head or whatever. You fly in, you shoot the animal, take its head, take it home, do what you're going to do with it. You leave the rest behind. Now, animals in the area are going, woohoo, free meal, and they don't think about it because they're not designed to think about it. They're just, they're survival of the fittest. They're doing whatever, right? So you can imagine how intelligent ET has to be to come down here and do all that shit in the first place. This is where my thought personal. This is my personal opinion. You don't have to share it. You don't have to believe me, right? Because we've got no proof. We've got no proof. It's all unfounded opinions. Period. That's just what it is. I think they're coming down. They're doing what they're going to do. They're leaving the remains behind, assuming that local wildlife are going to take care of the pieces. It's the leftovers. It's the pieces and parts that they don't want or need for whatever reason. They're taking samples for a reason. They're leaving behind the leftovers, just assuming that the local wildlife are going to eat it up, and not really caring or understanding how us more advanced thinking human beings are going to think or feel about finding it. I don't think it's meant to be psychic terrorism or warfare. I mean, it could be. That could be exactly what it is. We don't know. I just don't see aliens messing with cows. Look up cattle mutilation. It's a very, very common thing. It was very, very prevalent in the 70s and 80s. And it was almost like they weren't, I don't think they were mutilating them to mutilate them. I think that they were euthanizing them, taking whatever they needed for whatever reason why they wanted, and then leaving the rest behind, just assuming, like I said, we go trophy hunting, right? We go out into the wilderness, and okay, we go out into the wilderness and we tranquilize animals so that we can do whatever, right? And sometimes those animals don't wake up. It's just the risk of doing it, right? Like, so you see an animal that's sick or ill or whatever. Yeah, Linda Moulton Howe, that's somebody to look up. Yeah, if they wanted it to remain secret, why leave hints of evidence in their presence? I think it was because I suspect it's interesting because we had this big rush of this stuff happening and then it kind of stopped again. I think they just assumed that we wouldn't notice or care. I think that when our modern day people go into these pristine areas for any reason whatsoever, we don't notice what we're leaving behind, and we're not leaving, and there's nothing or no one that's going to see it. Like I said, trophy hunters going in and taking off a bear's head or a deer head or whatever, which is gross. It's gross. Okay, it's gross to me. I don't hunt, right? But when they leave the carcass behind, they're not assuming that the predator who finds the carcass, because lots of animals do that. They're like, oh, look, free meal, right? They're not assuming that the cougar who comes along after and finds the carcass is good. Oh, it's missing a head. I better be concerned. We don't think like that. And for all we know, finding a headless deer in the woods scares the living shit out of these animals. But they're also survival of the fittest. They free meal. They can't pass it up, so they don't have a choice but to tolerate it. UFO comes down, does whatever they're going to do to a cow, leaves the leftovers behind. This is my theory. And again, I'm not agreeing or disagreeing. I'm not disagreeing with anybody else's thoughts or ideas on the subject. I'm just explaining mine because, I have a captive audience. Suckers. Anyway. So I think that they are coming in, they're doing what they're doing, and it's not occurring to them it's not occurring to them the kind of upset that they're leaving behind. They probably just don't really care or notice. Like, if I'm coming in and doing that, I'm not going to check out the local papers to make sure the locals were okay with it. So if you're going into an area doing some shit, thinking that you're not causing a problem and leaving again, how long are you going to be doing that before somebody somewhere somehow calls it to your attention that you're causing a problem, right? So I just think that it didn't occur to them that anybody would give a shit. I don't think or that we had the intellectual capacity to give a shit. When we leave carcasses behind in the woods for other animals, it never occurs to us to wonder if they wonder why does this smell like humans have been here, and why is the head missing? You know what I mean? I think we shrug a lot of things off as cultural differences. Oh, cultural differences. We really don't understand each other. We need to work on that, right? Well, when culture is humanity and not humanity. Yeah, you know what? I don't honestly have an answer for that. I just think that we have visuals of cows being levitated into a ship. They're not dicing them up on the ground, so why return the leftovers? I don't know. I mean, honestly, when I go fishing, like I don't fish anymore, but back in the day, you go fishing, right? If possible, you clean the fish where you are, take the fish home, leave the stuff behind that you don't want. Even if you're taking the fish from the river to your car, do your stuff, you still throw the stuff that you don't want back into the bush. That's my opinion. And like I said, there's a lot of holes in my opinion. Don't get me wrong. There are holes in my opinion because we don't I am a human being. We have no idea who or what. When these UFOs swoop in and do this shit, we have no idea who or what they are, what their priorities are. We don't know what matters to them. We don't know why they're doing it. We have no idea. I mean, are they are they taking them as food, but because of their biology, they can only actively work with certain. Okay, pufferfish, fugu, the pufferfish. It's a delicacy. The pufferfish is a delicacy, right? But if you puncture the liver, I think it's the liver, you can die from eating it. So what if they've got the opposite thing? What if they're like, okay, this is we can only eat certain. There are only a very 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 small number of things on this earth that we can actually eat, and we can only eat part of it. So what if they're the opposite? What if they can eat that liver, and that's what they need to survive, but the entire rest of it is toxic to them? We don't know if they're researching. We don't know if it's dinner or research. We don't know what they're doing. If it's, maybe it's cloning. Maybe it's like we can only clone this. We don't know. Yeah, no hard facts except firsthand experience. No thanks. I don't want firsthand experience. I don't. What I think is really weird, what I think is really interesting is the skinwalker thing. One of my personal pet theories is that skinwalkers could just be aliens. Whatever's coming, okay, UFO comes down, well, somebody gets out and takes a walk around, and so how do we know that what we're seeing is a spirit versus just simply a being from another planet? Or maybe they're just like okay, look at, I can't bring that one up very well. Oh, can't do that. Well, I can, but it'll lock everything up. Let's just go over here. Yeah, that one there. What if that's just Fido? What if that is just their pet? We don't know. Because don't forget, okay. A friend of ours when I was a kid, they had as a pet a little what was it called? A capuchin monkey? I only ever saw it once. And if you are they've got 2 hands, 2 feet. They look very humanoid, right? Obviously, they're an ape. They're a monkey, right? So when we're seeing these things that look almost but not quite human, we do this with our pets, where we humanize them. We automatically make assumptions that, oh, they are this, they are that. Like, I don't know how to describe this. I don't want firsthand experience with an alien. I'll take a hard pass. Yeah, you know what? I want to meet ET, but I want them to be friendly. But thing is that when we see something, there's the human brain does this thing where we reimagine something. This is why people see Jesus in a piece of toast. Okay, this is why people like Bruno. Bruno's a good example. Bruno, if you're eating something and he wants something, he will just sit there and stare at you until his eyes start watering, right? And it's like, oh, he's crying. Well, he's not crying. He's just refusing to blink, right? But you humanize what you see. Our brain automatically looks for the pattern. So when my dog is crying, it's really, oh, he's crying, because in a human that would be crying. Yeah, our brain automatically looks for the pattern, which is to humanize it. So we're seeing that, for all we know, that is supposed to be something that has been that I've seen that photo before, from somebody claiming it was a legitimate photo and not a hoax or whatever, right? But the thing is that if they're just letting their pet out for a walk, how are we ever going to know until we actually meet them in person, right? What's really interesting, come on now. Yeah. So the property is actually on traditional Ute land, but the term skinwalker comes from the Navajo legends and translates to by means of it goes on all four. So the Shermans were the first ones there. Yeah. So here we go. In 2016, Bigelow sold the ranch to a buyer who wished to remain anonymous for a whopping 4 years. Brandon Fugel, a Utah real estate mogul, announced in 2020 that he was the mysterious owner, and that the History Channel, right, would be recording a reality TV show on the property titled The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch. So there is our next layer. Honestly, I will say that this photo was put forward as legitimate, but if you see the log there, it looks like the legs end at the knees, like that. So they're trying to make it look like it's comfortably on all fours when there's probably an entire piece of leg behind that log. It looks very human to me, but it made a good example to explain what I was trying to say. But I'm not I'm not convinced of this particular photo. Nope, that's not what I want to do. Okay, so basically now we've got a reality TV show happening here where they need things to happen. They need things to talk about. They need to sensationalize everything. And this series lasted for, I think two seasons. Like so many investigators before them. So this is the History Channel thing. The current occupants of Skinwalker Ranch have found more questions than answer. Why does electronic equipment seem to malfunction on the ranch? That's a very strong trope in UFO encounters, where electronics just stop working. I don't know about stories about ghost encounters where electronics stop working. Why have so many occupants reported unexplained illnesses? Why does the indescribable feeling of strangeness they feel on the ranch seem to follow them home? Now, this is an interesting one. I came across this the other day. In Navajo tradition, if you stay on the ranch for more than 30 days, you are cursed. And the only way to avoid the curse is to take some of the soil with you and keep it with you always for the rest of your life, which is really weird. Not weird. There's a lot of strangeness to it. The photo probably is Netflix clickbait. Here's the problem. Photoshop is a wonderful, wonderful tool, and we've got no way to know. This could literally be E.T.'s pet humanoid-looking thing walking across the top of a log, but we're so fucking jaded. We have seen so much. Well, you can't even. You pick up a magazine, every model is airbrushed. We are so used to it that we see it even when it's not there. And the thing is, yeah, this looks like it. This looks like it's probably, Yep, everything that exists is made of energy, even seemingly solid stuff. The energies can be disrupted or interfered with. That is exactly what I think going on. Ghosts are meant to, this is an interesting thought. Ghosts are meant to drain and use the energy of electronic devices. There's a certain logic in that. Like, I don't know if I would go, when you talk about ghosts in a generic way, you find that there's so many different types and flavors and whatever. Like, that's what the skinwalker is, right? A type to some people. To some people, they're an evil sorcerer, so they're very much alive and real and can change their forms, so they're shapeshifters. In other traditions, they're more werewolves. In other traditions, they're ghosts and spirits. And I think all of the above can be true. I mean, honestly, I think all of the above can be true, and I think we are naive to think that, like, just the fact of life, just the fact that life exists is already strange. Like, so you start off as this little thing, the little sperm and the little egg, life. That's there. That fact alone, I do not know how to describe it. But somebody said that the miracle isn't that life exists. The miracle is that life exists at all. And with that kind of thinking, when you think of it that way, it's like, if life is that easy and that common, why couldn't it be that right? Why couldn't it be that much? Why couldn't there be that much variety? Does that make sense? I think I made sense. I think I said something intelligent. I don't know. Okay. So Skinwalker Ranch is one location that has a lot of history around it, but the entire area is has got almost as much stuff. And don't forget that we're talking a very, 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 very out in the middle of nowhere area. So yeah, things can be happening. There could literally be the UFO base right in the middle of all that, and nobody, if you didn't know where to go look for it, you could be wandering around for years and not find it. And if I'm remembering correctly, that area also has canyons and blind gullies, and there's also, it's not just a big flat plain where you can go, oh, if I get my binoculars out, I see it. It's not going to work that way. Okay. Since the 1950s, there have been hundreds of reports of UFOs and unexplained phenomena in the Uinta Basin, and not just at Skinwalkers. Neighbors of the ranch report seeing various types of bright lights in the sky, often appearing as a shape that looks like a doorway or a portal. So now this is now we're getting to the fun stuff. I think all of the above could be true. Honestly, I think that whatever is reality, like I said, ET comes down, whatever is reality for them, they're going to be able to perceive it and interact with it in ways that we can't. So what it's going to look to us like UFOs are coming down and mutilating our cattle while all the ghosts are going crazy. And there's also stories. I honestly, oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, give me some thumbs up. Tell me you like me. Yes. Most of us are psychically colorblind to paranormal activities. Some physics can pick up some degree of it. Oh, some psychics can pick up some degree of it. And that is the thing. And also, it's like, look at stealth flyers. We have the capacity to render our stuff invisible to a certain degree. Look at a simple duck blind. Duck hunters. They put up a little shelter so that the ducks can't see them, and right? We already have the technology to render ourselves invisible to things that we don't. Well, just a sec. No, nothing there. Nothing there. It was my imagination. It's fine. It's my imagination. We're all good. My phone sometimes vibrates before it starts to ring, but there was nothing there. I'm convinced. I am convinced that this phone call is going to happen while I'm on the live because they haven't called me back so far. But anyway, okay. No, what Robin said, we're psychically colorblind to paranormal activity. But the thing is that if we put up a duck blind at the edge of a pond, ducks are blind to us, and yet here we are, and it's very normal for us. Okay, like, we're not paranormal, but if you're a duck, and all of a sudden this muzzle comes through and you're kind of ignoring it, and all of a sudden you hear this big loud bang and your buddy drops over, paranormal activity blows your mind, right? And I think that we do have a lot. I think a lot of that, whether it's interdimensional, whether it's ghosts, whether it's UFOs, I think when that sort of stuff happens, we are just not able to perceive it. I got a skinwalk now. I thought my phone just made a little buzz for a second, and I thought that maybe that was my call coming through. But that was just me being paranoid. It's no biggie. But anyway. So now we're looking at Skinwalker Ranch. Now the interesting thing is about UFOs. Let me just. Okay, Area 51, major Roswell incident, right? Roswell, New Mexico. Okay, let's just see this. Because don't forget, let me get back to a map again. Don't mind me, I'm just like clicking all the things. Let me get back to a map. I don't want Idaho, I want Utah. Okay. Now don't forget, as much as my there we go. Aha. Okay. Okay. So let us take a look at this. Let's go over to this map. Whoops, I spell it right. I don't think it's going to give it. Nope, it's not going to do it. Okay, Area 51. Yes, it did. Okay, let's look at this. Oh, no. Okay, I got to just a second. Okay, let's look that up. Okay, I've got to leave it open this way. Share this tab. Okay, I have to leave this up, but down here, can you guys, let me see. I think you guys can see my mouse. Down here at the bottom, I have to leave it up like this with the thing on the side or it's going to disappear as soon as I click it out. So down at the bottom left, you have Area 51. Up at the top right, you have Skinwalker Ranch. Look what's in between it. Like, do you actually see, if you were ET, okay, let me just back up. I'm going to stop myself and back up. I think that most of what's going on at Skinwalker Ranch is probably related to UFOs and sightings of UFO inhabitants and things like that. They've done testing on the show where they see lights entering and disappearing from areas in the sky, which may be interdimensional portals. Here's the thing. I strongly suspect, my personal opinion is that if you go to a power plant, any facility that creates waste products, a mine, anything like that, you're going to have material on the ground that is toxic in one degree or another. We had an iron recycling foundry. We had on this one corner of my hometown, and eventually it closed down. Blah 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 blah, and they had to leave that area empty. They had to fence it off and leave it empty for like 20, 25 years or some ridiculous amount of time, and still had to go in and scrape off the top 2 or 3 feet of soil to get the contaminated soil out of the area. And that was just from taking old rusty metal, melting it down, and making new shiny metal. And that was still enough to contaminate the area. So the thing is, so you've got Area 51, that's near where the whole Roswell thing happened. You got a straight shot over to the Skinwalker Ranch. There's nothing there. So if ET is fucking around in the wilderness, what better place to be? There's and you see the small string of towns, but those towns are very underpopulated. They're not huge giant towns, right? Beaver, Cedar City. So it's a really straight. There is way too much wilderness, right? Okay. So my personal thought, ET is fucking around. They've got whatever going on. So maybe they've got a refueling station. Maybe they've got a research center. Maybe they've got something. And just the residue that they're leaving behind from coming and going is creating contamination that we are feeling on the ground. So am I saying this right? I'm not sure if I am saying this right. But the thing is that industrial byproduct, a mechanical byproduct, interdimensional portal byproduct, all this shit. If they have the capacity to do so much more than we do, they also have the capacity to create so much more byproduct than we do. And we're going to notice it. Is that a green mountainous ridge? I believe so. Let me just take a look. A national forest, so it's forested areas. But I take a look though. Area 51 is already such a huge area. Skinwalker Ranch is way up over here, and it's right in the middle. It's right in the middle of what is now a national forest. So it's one of those areas where they're allowed to farm on certain areas of it. I believe. Let me see. Terrain. Let's go to terrain. Yep, that is high ground. So you've got this entire area. You've got the entire area from Area 51 on up that is like nobody's there. Skinwalker Ranch is just a hop over the hills into the next open area where nobody lives. Okay. So that's where my brain goes. My brain goes to this is UFO activity. This is me personally. My brain goes to this is UFO activity. It's been probably going on for a long time, and hundreds of years. And don't forget there. And this is another theory. This is another conspiracy theory. Is that we have other, I guess, humanoid or non-human, or that there's also the theory that there are other species, the gray aliens, the whatever. I keep saying the grays. It's the only ones I know of. The reptilians and all that stuff that actually live on the planet with us and just prefer to avoid us. So they stay in areas that they know we won't go. That's a theory too that's been around for a very long time. In some Native American folklore, yeah, there are theoretically many alien races, and they all have different agendas. Some are friendly, some are supportively interactive and guiding, some are hostile, some use Earth as material resources. That's right. And don't forget, we already have right now. Okay, my hometown was, if you come into southern Ontario, you can cross the border at Windsor, or you can cross the border at Niagara Falls. My hometown was about halfway between the two. So we were a lovely little rest stop for people that were just passing through. And that could be all that's happening. We could just be a lovely rest stop for people that are stopping through on their way to the next location, and they're going to set up shop in an area. It's like, yeah, we're just not going to fuck with the locals, so we'll stay over here. And then you get into these extremely underpopulated areas. Like, well, you can't avoid some of the locals. Just try not to scare them too much. That could be all that's happening from their perspective. That from their perspective, that could be all that's happening. From our perspective, oh my God, this is like fucking the scariest shit ever. It's creepy, creepy, creepy. Area 51 is in Nevada. Roswell is in New Mexico. Oh yeah, right. I forgot. Roswell was just over the border into New Mexico, and everything was taken back to Area 51. But if you take a look, go from Roswell straight down to New Mexico, and you're going to see it's just a big stretch of nothing. You know what? Okay, go on the highway, go down the highway, stop at the rest stop, right? And then keep going. Super busy place, all kinds of shit going on. The locals don't hang out there. The locals may not even really be aware, because if you're not going on the highway, why would you know it's there? And then in like 30, 40 years, they decide to take out the rest stop for whatever reason. And they're going to have all the contamination from constant exhaust, from the asphalt, from the from a gas station, the tanks at the gas station leaking, whatever. It's the exact same thing, and that could be all this is to them. That could be all this is to them. That could be why we see them, but we don't find them. I don't know how to describe it. Okay, if like, the green area is forest, but it looks like it's also higher ground. This is a topographical map showing. This is a topographical altitude map, and from the looks of it, that green area is also higher elevation. Forested, higher elevation, has water supply, and yeah. Yeah, let's see if I can find Roswell. If I could spell it, if I could spell Roswell. Roswell's there? Oh wow. Okay, so now I'm really off base here. Okay. So, but I'm still going to stand by it though. We're still looking at, except for, with the exception of Albuquerque, we're still looking at very, very low population areas. So, yeah, there's not really anywhere for ET to go. But anyway, so Roswell was here. Roswell, Las Vegas, Skinwalker Ranch. If you look, there's a triangle. Oh my God. Okay. No. We're just doing this. Back up. Ah. I wish it was easier. I want driving directions. Roswell to, come on. Okay, Roswell, New Mexico to, is that going to work? Nope, it's not going to do it. There we go. Let's do that though. So if you imagine the line, if you imagine putting that line straight down now, you've got a bit of a triangle. And inside of that triangle, with the exception of, wait, there's a Skinwalker Ranch in New Mexico? What the fuck? Which one have we been looking at? Have we been looking at the wrong one? Oh, wait. TLR. Okay, just a second. Okay, come on. You're supposed to be giving me driving directions. What the hell? Okay, it was essentially the same. It was essentially the same map. Skinwalker Ranch is up here. Then you go to Las Vegas. Then you go just south of Albuquerque, and you get a nice big triangle with the Navajo Nation right in the fucking middle of it. So now you've got more native land up top, and you've got native land all through Las Vegas, which is limited access for the rest of the population. Inland version of a Bermuda Triangle. That's what it looks like, right? I live by your hometown, Peggy, and because of the rest stop convenience, there's a lot of human trafficking. I've been here my whole life and never seen it, but it happens and it's here. My hometown, St. Thomas, Ontario, was a major drug trafficking hub. You would not believe the amount of cocaine and heroin that went through St. Thomas. We never saw it locally. If I were to go down to the local pool hall, I could buy some pot, right? If I were to go down to the local pool hall and ask for some cocaine, you weren't going to get it. If you wanted to get, but it was passing through all the time. Same idea, right? Honestly, to me, same idea. To me, it's the same idea, and I'm not sure how to express it I don't think I could express it any better. So anyway, so raise your hand. Who is looking at Skinwalker Ranch as ghost activity, ghost spirits, paranormal, and who is looking at it as UFO activity? Who's looking at it as both? But I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't mean that it's not there. No, St. Thomas has a lot of shit going through it because it's a great rest stop that's off the beaten path. So anyway, yeah, this is so Skinwalker Ranch, for basically, I looked into it a couple days ago to go, okay, well, I don't want to fully research it, but I obviously need to know some basics. And I get me some basics, and then we will learn together. That's kind of where my intentions are here on this. Thing is that what I've found so far is like there may be some natural. I believe in Sasquatch. I believe that there are humanoid races that live with us and just do everything that they fucking can to avoid us. I think that's what Sasquatch is all about. I think that they are real. I think that they are just doing everything in their power to avoid us. I think it's entirely possible that the government knows exactly who they are and where they are and just makes sure that we stay the hell away. But I think Skinwalker Ranch, I think I'm personally more leaning toward this is a UFO situation, and that it's connected to the remoteness of that entire region. Because don't forget, for us getting from Roswell to Area 52 and like that triangle, that's like days of driving. That's a huge fucking area. We're never going to figure out what's in the middle of that unless somebody leads us right to it. But if you're ET there, it's a 2-minute. It's zoop zoop zoop. It's no more exciting than me getting up and walking across the street to the variety store. To going over to McDonald's. We've got a McDonald's just at the corner here. It's honestly not that much more difficult for them. At least that's my assumption. If you are coming to us from another planet, then you've got the type of scientific advancement that lets you do things that we can only dream of. If you are just simply a more advanced form of life that lives here among us, you've got what you need. We can keep animals from seeing us. So if they are sufficiently advanced so that we are the animals compared to them, then keeping us from seeing them shouldn't be that difficult. That's kind of where I'm thinking. But I do want to know what you guys think. Either comment here, comment below. That's fine. Because I think places like Skinwalker Ranch are really, really fascinating because there's so much going on. And it's been documented for so long that the Navajo call it cursed. They have legends about it, and these legends go back hundreds of years before Netflix got a hold of it and started making their documentaries, before the History Channel made their things, before somebody wrote a book. So I do think that that's where things are looking at with that. But I think what I've learned so far has left me more confused than less, because whatever's going on is really, like so many investigators for them. The current occupants of Skinwalker Ranch have found more questions than answers. Why do electronic equipment seem to malfunction? Why do so many occupants report unexplained illnesses? This is where I was when I started on my little tangent. Why does the indescribable feeling of strangeness they feel on the ranch seem to follow them home? Like, if I go to Chernobyl, I'm going to have a feeling of strangeness because it's going to be radiation sickness, right? So why is there a grown man named Dragon? Did he give himself that nickname? Does he make his friends call him Dragon all the time? What? I don't know what that's all about. Other local tales. The inhabitants of Skinwalker Ranch may have reported slightly different stories over the years, but they have a few things in common that are hard to shake. Most notable is a strong conviction that what they are seeing is the real deal, and it's a conviction shared by many in the area. This is the thing. These reports have been coming out since the 50s when, and I mentioned this in another video, since in the 50s, talking about this stuff was a great way to ruin your reputation forever. You were opening up yourself up to public ridicule. Some people ended up in psychiatric facilities because they would insist that their claims are true and were not believed, to the point where it's like they had breakdowns, all sorts of stuff. So there is definitely something going on there. There is definitely something going on there. You just can't shake this stuff up. We need to expand our understanding beyond what we think we know in 3 dimensions and on a here and now time space. Let's see, where was I? Okay. Yeah, since the 1950s, there have been hundreds of reports of UFOs and unexplained phenomena in the Uinta Basin and not just at Skinwalker. Neighbors of the ranch report seeing various types of bright lights in the sky, often appearing as a shape that looks like a doorway or a portal. I already read this. Cattle mutilations are common. Some neighbors have reported seeing cows that appeared to have been struck by lightning with no sign of scorched earth to be found. One group shared a story of trying to spot UFOs one night, only to return to find that their car had been moved without a trace of tire tracks in the desert sand. Perhaps most horrifyingly, however, is a story of a group of History Channel production assistants who have to go get coffee for Dragon every day. Okay, that's just a joke. So what's really going on? There are plenty of theories as to what's going on over at Skinwalker Ranch, and you guessed it, some of them are pretty out there, but something's definitely going on. This is, by the way, from a website called utah.com. Okay? People don't know, because it's theory number one, people are lying to get money. Now, I do, unfortunately, think that the current extreme interest in the ranch has caused a lot of that to happen. Like Netflix did not make this theory. Netflix did not make a series in order to get the truth out. They made a series in order to get money. So sensationalizing it and exaggerating it and making claims that go beyond what have already been made is to be expected, unfortunately. Theory number two, extraterrestrial visitors. Unsurprisingly, this is one of the most, and this is, like I said, utah.com. If you look it up, you'll find it. Did I share this tab? No, I'm just leaving you guys watching the same shit. Let's go back over here. Share this tab. Extraterrestrial visitors. Unsurprisingly, this is one of the most popular theories about the anomalies at Skinwalker. It would certainly explain a lot of things, like the bright lights, flying objects, strange voices, electrical disturbances, and cattle mutilated with scientific precision. Yeah, that's the thing. We're never going to figure out why they're doing it, but they are doing it with a degree of precision that we can't match. And that's not a ghost, you know? That's my opinion. Why would our flying friends be so secretive? Maybe they're filming a docuseries of their own. Okay, that's funny. I think that, okay, we could have the most advanced technology that there is, and we're still just fragile, frail human beings. So it makes sense. It makes sense that if another race, another species is in the area doing whatever, that they're not going to want to be dealing with us. It's just like it's like walking into a pack of wolves. Oh, I have a gun, I can shoot them, but I might not get the one that sneaks up behind me. And that might be the simplest version of their thinking that explains exactly why it's like, oh no, we're here for a reason, but we want nothing to do with you guys because we don't think you're safe or healthy to be around. That could be all it is. And I do think that that's probably all it is. But that's my opinion, right? Let's go back to here. Interdimensional visitors. It's just like theory 2, but with a sort of Marvel Cinematic Universe twist, which is fair enough. Okay, here's the thing. I'm a fan of the Marvel movies. The Marvel movies built a lot of their comics around what was popular science at the time, because there's this believability factor that we find entertainment, various forms. We find our entertainment more entertaining if it's based on current popular thoughts, theories, scientific advancement, yada, yada, yada. The Marvel Cinematic Universe talks about a multiverse, but the reality is that the idea of a multiverse was first brought up, that I'm aware of, in like the 70s and 80s. And then scientists have just been working since then, quantum physics working since then, string theory and quantum physics, to go, okay, well, here's an interesting theory, and if it's true, how do we prove it, right? Well, the comics went, this is an interesting theory, let's play with it. Same. So rather than believing that UFOs arrived from another planet, subscribers to this theory believe that they arrived from a parallel dimension or universe. Here's the interesting thing. If I'm sufficiently advanced, then why cannot both be true? Why can't ET be coming here to pick? Wormhole theory says that we don't necessarily get to choose where the wormholes go, or the parallel dimensional doors and all this stuff. So if it turns out that nobody has any control where these pathways between dimensions show up, and ET knows all about them and has relations, has political whatever relations, diplomatic relations with these different dimensional things, then they may have to come here in order to access these dimensions. That could be all it is. I do think that at the end of the day, the truth is going to be far simpler than we ever realized. And the reason why we don't realize it is because our science just hasn't caught up with it. But that's my other thing. Okay. So sounds crazy, but this would certainly explain why the lights in the sky sometimes appear to look like portals. Any kind of international gateway would be bound to cause some anomalies nearby. I do think that's realistic to assume. Geophysical processes causing the brain to hallucinate. This one here, I do not believe this one at all. You cannot have some people hallucinating and other people. There are certain gases. The Oracle of Delphi would breathe these gases and go into a trance and then make prophecy, right? But anybody that was in that area with her would have also been hallucinating right along with her. You cannot have a situation where only one person in a group is hallucinating and nobody else is, or their hallucinations turn off and on cue. Sometimes, yeah, no, if it was something like that. So a neuroscientist, Michael Persinger, theories posts that geophysical forces like tectonic shifts, seismic activity, geomagnetic fields, and others may affect the part of the brain involved in creating hallucinations. Under this reasoning, everything people experience at Skinwalker Ranch is a result of increased seismic activity in the area. No, that doesn't make sense. So those shapeshifters, UFOs, and portals that are all just a result of witnesses' brains going haywire on account of the imperceptible change in the local environment. Like I said, if there is volcanic gases can cause you to hallucinate, but they'll also usually kill you if somebody's not there to drag you away from them. An earthquake isn't going to make you hallucinate. If you feel an earthquake, it's going to freak you out for a minute. We've had a couple of earthquakes since I've been here. Nothing, just a mild, and it freaks you out for a second. Like, oh shit, that's an earthquake, but you don't hallucinate. Like you don't, whatever. Can you visit the ranch? Since the ranch is on private property, you can't visit without being invited by the owners. We don't recommend trying to sneak in either because their head of security is pretty tough. Yeah, they have armed guards at the ranch. There's a campground just outside the ranch that advertises UFO-themed AVT tours that are the closest you can legally get. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm closing up shit. Why am I closing up shit? I don't need to close that up. Yeah, the multiverse. But I do think, like, some of our most insane scientific discoveries turn out to be relatively simple once you got thinking about it. It's like, oh, okay, like oh, you don't fall off the edge of the earth if you sail too far. The earth just happens to be round. Oh, this is not, and now we go, well, yeah, of course the earth is round. We don't even question it. We have a record of back when people thought the earth was flat. There was all this science around it because they had to track and monitor, like astronomers and stuff would track and monitor the movements of the sun and the moon and all this stuff because they wanted to predict their seasons, predict this, predict that. And they had to build these insanely complicated mathematical models to explain all of this stuff with a flat earth because you would fall off the edge, of course. And they believed that you go off the edge and then hell was underneath. And the thing is that when they realized the earth was round, it was like, oh, it's pretty simple actually, right? And I do think that that's what we're going to be dealing with. I do think that that is something that we're going to be dealing with in the. Is that picture available? Let's see. Nope. Is that? Yeah, this is something that. Add that back. That is a representation based. That is obviously artist rendering, but that's based on descriptions. That's the weird. That's basically the werewolf. That's the werewolf part. But no, I don't know. Skinwalker Ranch is really, really fascinating. It's kind of unfortunate that it was buried under a TV show because now it's going to make it really, really difficult to figure things out. But yeah, I don't want to show the gross. I don't want to show the gross stuff. No, I'm not going to find that. I was thinking of some of the lookups I could do to look up dimensional doorway, things like that. But Okay, let's see if I can do this. Come on, I need a map. I need a map. I need a map right there. Oh. Nope. What is that? Nope. Okay. I was looking for. I was looking for. Oh, America's UFO hotspots mapped. Well, that's not a very good map. And it corresponds to. Has anybody ever heard of a dark sky location? A dark sky location is a location where there's it's a location where you're far enough away from cities and light pollution that you actually see the proper actual dark sky. You don't see, because let's face it. Okay, I live in the Vancouver area. UFO could go trucking overhead right now, and I'd probably ignore it because we've got so much air traffic. Like we're near the air, like well not air, near the airport. The planes leave the airport and then come this way as they're making their turns to decide where they're going. If you live, okay, like Robin, I know Tosto Terra, I know Robin lives in New York City. If a UFO goes over, if a UFO is just like boop 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 goes over, you guys aren't even going to notice it because there's just so much other things up in the sky, like traffic, helicopters, regular air traffic, blah 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 blah. That unless something about it is so obviously, blatantly, in your face different, it's not even going to occur to you. Oh, something's going by overhead. Okay, are you even going to look? Do you stop and stare at every plane that goes overhead? No. Same here. Planes go over every day. I'm not like, oh, is that one a UFO? So you get into these dark sky areas where there's little to no, where there's no air traffic, there is no light pollution, there is no this, no that, and if something's going by at night, you will see it. And that is where a huge percentage of UFO encounters happen. Come on, just no thanks. I don't want that. Yeah, okay. Here it is. Okay, so share this tab. This is the number of UFO encounters. This is the number of UFO encounters per what did it say? Reported UFO sightings per 100,000 residents. So we're getting way more. But if you look at if anybody who's familiar with how the United States is laid out, you're looking at this and it's like, yeah, back in the 70s, sky gazing from rooftop, I saw a cluster of UFOs fly over, and yet, in spite of the millions and millions of people living in the cities, how many of them actually looked up and saw it? How many people saw it besides you, right? Well, or that how many people saw it that that you would be able to speak to that would go, oh yeah, that happened. Oh, time to panic again. Just a second. I'm back. Did my sound go away that time? I am just like I said. I decided to opt for healthy paranoia because I don't want to miss this call, but it's very unlikely that I'm going to hear from them before the middle of next week. But I don't want to play tag with them because basically they're saying that basically once you hit a certain amount of earnings, you're supposed to register for a GST number, goods and services tax number, and then start collecting sales taxes from people. But because I sell through Etsy, Etsy's already doing that for me, and I just need to tell them. It's like, fuck. Anyway, the majority, and here's the thing. My personal belief, okay, because you're looking at this and go, oh, UFOs are clustered here. Now, I will say UFOs, I will say that if I were an ET, I would want to focus my activity in areas where with the lowest population. And look at that, right up the Midwest, right up the central western United States. Look how empty those areas are, and look how active they are with sightings. And it's amazing that an area with areas with like 1/10 the population are reporting 10 times the sightings because they're more visible. They're more obvious because you're not going to get traffic helicopters are not going over the middle of the Mojave Desert, right? So if you hear or see, if you notice a motion in the air above, if you notice something out of the corner of your eye, you're going to look because that's unusual to you. The further east you get, the more populated you get, and the less likely somebody is going to look up. So I'm not advocating that I'm not advocating that they aren't everywhere, but they're going to be more active in areas where there's less people. They're also going to be more noticed in areas where there's less light. And if any activity that they have towards the east is not going to get noticed, so they're, the UFO base is in the middle of the Mojave Desert somewhere, but their activity can be everywhere. Everywhere. What did we have one day? We had something going on. Oh, like a helicopter was going by or something. It was a little lower than usual, so it was really like helicopter was coming in, probably just traffic. Oh, police helicopter. So they were probably looking for somebody. So they were a little lower than usual. So they were really loud comparatively to what's normal. Nobody looked up. Nobody looked up. I'm like, hey, that's unusual. Let's look up. Nope. Even when it's unusual, they don't look up here. Nobody looks up. So there's that. But if I were to have if I were an alien looking for a place to put in a base, I would be and the biggest chunk. I mean, I get that there's some activity down near Texas, but the most concentrated two areas are up in Alaska, and right in that triangle, right in that triangle, Skinwalker Ranch at the one end, down to Roswell and back up to Las Vegas. Look at that triangle. All high activity areas. Every single area there. And all dark sky areas where there's less people, less light, less likely to be seen. UFOs used to only be sighted at night. These days there are more daytime sightings, but a theory about that indiscretion is the ones we're seeing by day are ours tested by humans. Humans aren't discreet. That's fair enough. You know what? Like we had this weird, my sister, my cousin, and I had this really weird encounter. When did Skylab come down? When did Skylab return to Earth? Let me just get the date. July 11th, 1979. That's how young I was. Okay. So Skylab basically was one of the very first space stations. Started breaking up, and they were reporting on it constantly on the news because this is 1979, so they weren't 100% sure where it was going to land, right? So this is like an evolving story. So we're walking home. Me, my sister, and our cousin are walking back home from something. Maybe we were at a friend's house. I'm not sure what we were doing, right? We walk by and we see this big thing up in the sky, and we know that it's not the moon. It's not, and it's just hanging there. Okay. And it's orange, and it's like really, really bright and really, really obvious and whatever, right? So we knew that this stuff was happening with Skylab, and that it was going to be crashing, and it's going around, and it's round, and it's round. So we go, oh, this is really exciting, and we're watching it the whole way home, and it's clearly artificial. Okay, it is not. It looks like just this clunky, boxy thing, right? So we go home, and it looked huge to us because we were excited and we were kids. And so we run home. We saw Skylab, and of course everybody's going, okay, whatever, that's fine, because by the time we got home, it had gone. It had left, right? So we're like, oh, we saw Skylab. Well, years and years and years and years and years later, I'm like, oh yeah, we saw Skylab just before it broke up. That was really awesome. We saw Skylab just before it broke up. Oh yeah, we were walking home one day, and we're just watching it as we're walking home, and it was really cool, right? Well, it turns out that when a satellite is orbiting and comes over because people were talking about going outside to watch Skylab pass over. As it started breaking up, it started orbiting closer and closer and closer until it finally crashed. There's a reason for this long explanation. Anyway, so it turns out years and years and years and years later, Skylab is traveling fast enough, because I'm like, oh yeah, I saw Skylab when I was a kid, as it was in the process of crashing, and I'm like, what are you talking about? And I'm going, well, like when that thing with Skylab was happening, and it got closer and closer. So we were leaving this thing with my cousin and the three of us, and we saw Skylab, and we were watching it as we were walking home, and yada yada yada. And they're going, that's not possible. I'm like, what? No, we saw it. We saw it. So basically, somebody gave me a slight physics lessons that day and explained to me when something is orbiting the Earth, it doesn't appear to hang still and then disappear. Basically, when a satellite is orbiting the Earth, you only see it for a few seconds as it's going by. Because don't forget, you're only looking at this much of the sky, right? Your personal vantage point from the ground, you're only looking at a very small arc of sky. They're like, if you had seen Skylab, it wouldn't have been that big, because we were describing, this was like, I don't know, mid-20s, I forget how old I was. And they said it wouldn't have been that big, and it wouldn't have stayed in the sky for that long because it was moving. It was moving. The reason why if it had been hanging, if it had been hanging in the sky that slowly, then they would have been able to figure out exactly where it was going to land. No, whatever you saw, it was not Skylab. And it's like, oh, I saw a UFO. I didn't even know it. I thought I saw something else. So maybe it was ET tracking Skylab. I don't know, but we saw it. It was up there, and it was big, and it was orange. It was just glowing orange, and it was clunky. Nobody else stopped to look at it. But anyway, that's my story. That's my UFO story. And to this day, I have no idea what I saw. We know we saw it. I wasn't the only one there. We know we saw it. The adults believe we saw it. Nobody called us liars. We all assumed it was Skylab because this is 1979, and if you didn't know what you didn't know, right? So it's like, oh, cool, the kids saw Skylab, whatever, no big deal. Find out like decades later that it's like that wasn't possible. It's like, oh shit, which I guess kind of nice because then we weren't scared. But anyway, I think Skinwalker Ranch. I think that whatever I think Skinwalker Ranch is part of an area. Emory County, Grand County, Emory County, 25 sightings, 252 sightings per 100,000 residents. Yeah, we're not talking about like not everybody is rushing forward and going crazy. You see, like I never reported. Oh, I saw Skylab. I'm not calling anybody now to say, hey, this happened when I was a kid. By the way, any other? Yeah, there's Oh, now we're just getting into the regular news. We don't want to look at the regular news. So anyway, I think, I already closed that down anyway. I think I'm opting for UFOs. I think I'm opting for whatever they're doing here, whether they're just passively watching us. We might just be a zoo. We might just, oh, look, there's all this stuff on this planet. Let's go check it out. Like maybe to them coming here is the same as us going to the zoo. And don't forget, when you go to the zoo as a tourist, blah, 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 there's also researchers and there's all kinds of researchers and scientists behind the scenes at the zoo that are not necessarily experimenting on animals, but they are studying them. They are doing health stuff on them. They are doing research on various things. So regardless of how and why ET is coming here, I think what we're looking at when it comes to places like Skinwalker Ranch, they have whatever reason they have to be here. I mean, I think we're going to find in about 1 billion years, once we actually contact them, that they've got a base in the area and they're really active in the area. People are seeing stuff in the area. They're doing experiments. They're doing experiments on whatever's locally available, the same way that our scientists have been doing for years whenever they go into a new area. But I don't see ghosts. And I think that's really interesting because I think that native cultures in the area, they wouldn't have a reason to think, because don't forget, until they made European contact, at that point in time, they were for the most part like stone knives and stuff like that. So the idea of building a machine, if I did not know what a machine was, if I had no idea about mechanical anything, because that was just not something that was a part of my experience, and I saw a UFO, I would think it was a demon, a spirit, a this, a that. So I do think Skinwalker Ranch is part of a much bigger region that has a shit ton of paranormal activity. But like I said, I do want to know what you guys think. because I do think the sensationalism that comes with Skinwalker Ranch has made it really, really, really difficult to sort out what's going on. I don't think I'd want to be there at night, but anyway, that is what it is. I do think I should get going now because I beat the subject to death. I don't know what topic I want to do next. I was thinking. Yeah, Earth is a zoo of many races. Think of the many species of life here, from octopi to insects, platypuses and elephants. We seem quite comfortable coexisting with multiple races as long as we're in charge. Well, and here's the thing. We count ants as being equal to dolphins. We don't really recognize we are human. We are the best thing. We are the bestest and most intelligentest thing on the planet, and we do not really take we don't take thoughts, feelings, whatever into consideration for other animals because we're better than them. So when it comes to studying them or interacting with them or whatever, it's all the same to us. We don't change our approach. You know what I mean? Like we have, this is how you approach a predator. This is how you approach a non-predator. This is how you approach something smaller than you. This is how you approach something bigger than you. But we don't say elephants must, we don't do not take into consideration that animals can have thoughts, that they can have feelings, that they can have conversations, that they can do anything. Yeah, different dimensions coexisting. If we were an area that had dimensional portals and ET knew about them, that would explain a lot right there. It's like, oh, well, wormholes. What if it's just wormholes? Okay, well, this area happens to have a bunch of wormholes, so because you do not get on the highway by pressing a button and the highway comes to you. You have to go to the highway and then get on it. So what if we are just the highway rest stop, but a highway rest stop still, an alien base? What if the alien base turns out, oh no, dude, this is not an alien base. We don't think you're that fucking important. This is just a highway rest stop. We don't know. But it gets kind of repetitive because the thing is, like, and I know I got repetitive, but the thing is, you try to look at the details and you go, okay, Skinwalker Ranch is reporting all of this stuff, skinwalkers, but if I saw an alien and didn't know that it was possible for aliens to exist, I would go, that's a skinwalker, right? If I saw a UFO and didn't know that machinery of any kind existed, I would go, that's a spirit. So I think Skinwalker Ranch started. I think the region and the folklore started with I know it's already been documented. It started with the native cultures saying this is what's going on, right? And then from there, all of a sudden we morph into UFOs, and of course people are going, see, that proves you're crazy because first you said it was ghosts, and now you said it was this. It's like, well, no. First, we thought it was this because nobody knew that it could possibly be anything else. And now we think it's this because the people that are experiencing these sightings now know what a machine is. They understand the concept of the possibility of other forms of intelligent life that isn't human. So now, is it possible? Okay, we've got Australia. Australia has a camel problem in some areas, apparently, because back when Australia was first being colonized, some groups of individuals brought in camels because camels need less water to get through the desert because Australia's got a huge, giant, massive fucking desert. And once they no longer needed them, they just let them go. And now Australia has wild camels. Well, so ET comes down, lets their humanoid-looking pets out to pee. A couple of them fuck off into the woods and they're like, I haven't got time to wait. Off you go. Like we already have a thing in our society of abandoning pets. Abandoning pets who then go on to form feral populations. So yeah, we can have skinwalkers. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. You have a huge camel population, and that was so. Imagine that you are a native Australian. You've been living for some reason you've been living in isolation away from everyone and everything else. And you're walking around, you're minding your own fucking business out in the bush, and you turn the corner and you see 20 camels, and you're nothing about your culture. Nothing about your culture, your experience, your handed down knowledge has ever prepared you for the possibility that this animal could exist. Because camels are huge. Camels are huge. So then what do? Why, you freak the fuck out. Well, what if instead of camels, it had been gorillas? Well, now you have an evil spirit that looks like a man but isn't a man. I think that's. I do think it's possible. I do think it's possible that if we were to take our heads out of our asses, we're going to find life forms that may or may not be much smarter than we are, that were associated with. I mean, I don't know. We have pets. Why can't ET? Right? So we could have that as a side effect of all this stuff. But no, I think that what we're seeing is interdimensional / extraterrestrial activity, and it's only been since the 50s or so that people have really started making the connection of going, it may not be an evil spirit, it may be an actual living being that we've never encountered before. But that is just my opinion and my thoughts. I was thinking next week we can do some dream interpretation. Maybe journal your dreams for the next few days. Journal your dreams. And next week we'll talk about dream interpretation just from we will talk about dream interpretation from my personal experience and how it works for me. Because I feel like my dream interpretation has always been successful. Like I've always gotten something, blah, blah, blah. So I thought maybe we could talk about that, because I believe that anybody can learn to interpret dreams. So maybe we can have some interesting conversations about that, because I do think I think that we experience an entire realm of existence in our dreams that we can't access while we're awake. So that's a thing. I think that is why we can sometimes have dreams that tell the future, or dreams that let us communicate with loved ones and stuff like that. I think when we're asleep, that is when our what is the word for it? Because when we say psychic in general, there's so many different layers to that, like telekinesis, you can move things, clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairknowing, clair this, clair that. And I think some of our clairvoyance, clairaudience, and stuff like that, I think that can really manifest in our sleep, because our barriers are down and we're more open to it. We presume to try to solve or understand stuff in the current days that we haven't mastered in a few thousand years from other races that have been thousands of years here before us. So I think that is the one thing that we need to get over. Because honestly, at the end of the day, almost every single scientific discovery, once we've discovered it, we go, oh, that actually makes sense, right? I don't have to understand gravity for gravity to make sense. And I understand now that there's an entire field of science that can measure it, understand it, work with it, and do things with it, right? Whereas before gravity was discovered, nobody knew, why does an apple fall from the tree? Well, because gravity is a thing, right? But yeah, waking up from a dream that is shockingly revealing, lucid dreaming. Waking up from a dream that is shockingly revealing, or that feels so real that you feel like you were there. Like you ever have that dream where you fall asleep, you have this really, really intense dream, and it's not an adventure dream, it's real. It feels so real. You have a dream that you're at work and things are happening and things are going on, and you wake up confused why you're not at work. Those are the dreams that, well, what happened in that dream? What happened in that dream? Because that's probably something that's coming up in your work that you need to be thinking about for your work, that sort of stuff. Yeah, visually, a flat earth makes more sense than living on a ball. Exactly. So it's like, yeah, back in the day, they'd hold up a ball and go, well, why aren't we falling off? Well, gravity, right? I think there's a perfectly logical, a perfectly logical and reasonable explanation does not make it a fun times happy explanation. Oh, well, why are all those why are all the villagers going missing? Oh, there's a herd of lions. There's a pack of lions right over there. Oh, we might not get good news. We might not get good news, but I think it'll make sense, right? How come Billy died after that snake bit him? Well, it's a poisonous snake. What's poison, right? There's got to be a stage, right? There's got to be a stage where you go into an area, especially human expansion around the globe. There's got to be a stage where we as humanity went into an area, encountering new things, not having a fucking clue what was going on, and then we figured it out and was like, oh, okay, don't play with the snakes, and watch out for those lions, right? I think it's going to turn out to be really, 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 really makes sense. But answers come in dreams. What you really think that you weren't aware of. Yeah. Answers come in dreams. Truth comes in dreams. But I mean, I've seen the future in dreams. I think we all can. I think we all do. I think we just, sometimes you need to interpret it. And I do think that for most of us, we can learn to interpret it. Kind of like tarot, right? Tarot is very, very specific. And depending, you can learn tarot and get a lot out of it. Obviously, because I think almost everybody here is a tarot person. You can learn tarot and get a lot out of it, but first you have to develop an understanding. You either have to develop a method, a system, or your own intuition. Well, Lisa's soon be skinwalking into your room from work soon. No, she's got another hour to go. She doesn't get off until it's 4:00 here, and then she gets off at 4:30. She's home by 5. Astral travel. Astral travel is an interesting thing. I think I've experienced it. I know people who say they've experienced it. I don't know if that's connected to dreaming. I don't know if astral travel and dreaming are the same thing. They're obviously things that only happen in the sleep state, but I think they are separate, because I think for me personally, when I'm dreaming, most of the time a dream is just a dream. Because your mind does all sorts of fucked up things when you're sleeping, right? It's just your mind wanders. It kind of tries to. Okay, what happened today? Okay, well, whatever. Yeah, whatever. Oh, by the way, this thing is coming up in the future. You should know about it. Here's that dream. So, I wish I knew how to successfully lucid dream. Yeah, I've done it. Basically, yeah, sleep is a very strange phenomenon. But anyway, next week I'm going to. Next week we'll do dream. Next week I'll interpret dreams for anybody who's interested, and we'll just talk about dream. We'll talk about dream interpretation and stuff like that, because I think it's, like I said, I think everybody here is a tarot person, and if tarot makes sense with a deck of cards, why doesn't dream interpretation make sense? And I do think anybody can learn to interpret their dreams. But it's like anything. It takes time. It takes practice. It takes a willingness to. Sometimes you have to jot it all down. But yeah. So if you have a dream, and like I said, if a dream doesn't, if you wake up and you immediately lose the dream, then it's either just a dream or it's something you're not ready for. I think the big thing with starting lucid dreaming is actually just recording your dreams when you wake up. I think the idea, it helps build your dream awareness. Yes, recording your dreams as soon as you wake up. The thing that I find lucid dreaming is really interesting. Most of us have experienced it, but as soon as you wake up, your dream goes away, right? Dream interpretation, for me, the more realistic your dream is, and the more easily you can recall it. There's usually the two clues that something if it seems very realistic, and it seems and you don't really forget it right away, you may forget some of the details, but you kind of like, you can recall it, right? Like you go to dinner with your friends and blah blah blah. Oh, remember when that happened? Oh, right, I remember that. Like, if you can't remember it at all, it's like, oh, I don't know, I don't remember that dream. Then it's like, well, it was either a nonsensical dream, because your brain will do that to you, or it was a dream you're not ready for. But if a dream seems particularly realistic, or inspires particularly strong emotions, especially if it's easier than normal for you to recall it, those are the dreams I want to hear about. I have an elder friend who claims she's never dreamt. Never. Is it even possible? Yeah, that seems weird. I know there's people that have claimed they don't dream, but then again, if you're not lucid dreaming, or having prophetic dreaming, or whatever, clairvoyant dreaming or psychic dreaming, whatever that, I don't know what term actually exists for that. Most dreams, like, I mean, I wake up, oh, I didn't have any dreams last night. I know I did. I dream every night, but most of it I don't remember. Right. So it's possible that maybe she just, if she is slow to wake up, if she is a person who wakes up slowly, then by the time she is awake enough to, oh, okay, I guess I'm awake, I got to get up. She could have just, that could have been time for her to already forget the dream, because everybody has REM sleep, and REM sleep is when you dream. Oh my God, if I could. Oh, there's a few rare individuals who do not experience REM sleep. What happens if you get no REM sleep? And let's just double check. And can you sleep without dreaming? It's unlikely that you never ever dream, though you could be in a dry spell because you're not sleeping well, or it could be that you simply can't recall your dreams. So yeah. Yeah, it's far more likely to have issues with your REM sleep, memory recall, or other sleep disturbances. So it's, yeah, I would just, I mean, yeah, that's weird. I don't, they say that's possible, I guess. I don't know. It looks like people are unable to visualize their head. Yeah, there's people that are unable to visualize certain things. It's quite likely that she's just unable to recall the dream. The more slowly you wake up, because you wake up and your dream disappears like within a few seconds, right? For most people, most of the time. So she's waking up slowly. That's probably happened while she's still half asleep. Like she's like, okay, I'm awake now. Okay, the dream's gone. Okay, now I'm waking up. But yeah, I would not want to be somebody who has no REM sleep. That'd be weird. I wonder if they even have a soul. We'll have to check on that. We could do that too. Anyway, I think that's what I want to do next week is do dream interpretation, and we'll see how that goes. So write down your dreams, kids. Write down. And recurring dreams are also dreams that are worth taking a look at. So if you have a recurring dream, if you have a particularly vivid dream, if you have, but if you have a dream that disappears the minute you wake up, there's those. I'm not saying those don't mean anything, but they're nearly impossible to interpret. But we'll do that next week. We'll do some dream interpretation and just talk about the subject in general and have a little fun with that. So I'm going to go, or I'm going to keep talking forever. I've warned you guys in the past, so that's what I'm doing now. I am dreamy. Anyway, thanks for hanging out with me, everybody. And I will see you. I'm probably going to, what am I doing next week? I might try to come on. I made my little book, and I haven't done any readings with that deck yet. So I might try to come on as well when you do some readings. But we'll see what I have time for. But next Friday for sure, dream interpretation. I will see you there. Have a great day, guys. Bye.